Ever felt like your family tree is more like a cactus? I'm Alisha Flores.
And I'm Nic Flores. Welcome to the Estranged Millennials podcast.
We're spilling the tea on our wild ride of ditching both sets of parents.
Keeping it real about the messy parts of estrangement. From the OMG, did I just do that moment to the
wait, I can actually be happy without them revelations.
Both dishing out the hard-won wisdom we've gained along the way. Plus some laughs, because hey, you gotta find the humor in the chaos.
Find your own path, set boundaries, and thrive, even if your family tree is a little prickly.
This is the Estranged Millennials podcast. Welcome to the Estranged Millennials podcast. My name is Nic Flores, and this is
Alisha Flores.
If you probably couldn't tell, we are husband and wife on a journey of being estranged from our given birth family, and we're millennials. So take with that what you want. This has been a crazy week. We are recording this on Thursday after the election. And we've just had some thoughts, and we've been thinking about making this podcast, and we've thought about what we would talk about first, how we would plan it, what would kind of best serve. And we were just like, you know what, we just need to rip the Band-Aid off, get in front of a microphone, in front of a camera, as awkward as it might feel initially in these first couple episodes if you're going to stick around and join after this. But we're just here to have kind of a casual debriefing conversation as estranged millennials and all that entails with that. So,
What better way to do it than right after an election?
Yes, it is. It has brought up so much feelings, conflicting feelings, lighting fires inside of us to kind of just do and want better, not only for ourselves, but people around us.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Like obviously we've talked outside of this, like we're husband and wife, so we clearly talk day to day.
Right.
But how are you feeling publicly?
I've been better. A lot better.
Yeah.
It sucks. Yeah, this was not the outcome that I wanted, that we wanted, that I'm sure a lot of people didn't want.
And the outcome we wanted was we voted for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, if you can't gather from that.
Yeah. We voted for Kamala Harris. Yeah. And obviously she didn't win. We brought back Donald Trump. And yeah, I guess I expected better of people. The night of the election, obviously we were watching, and I mean, the red mirage, as everybody. So I was like, okay, sure, that's fine, whatever. More states keep coming in. I went to bed around 10?
Yeah.
When things started to look like it was starting to get a little ugly.
And I just kept telling myself it's going to get better. It's going to get better. Like
But I kind of already had a feeling in the pit of my stomach, nope.
Yeah. So
that's when I was like, I'm going to go to bed because I can't keep watching this.
Yeah.
And then I woke up around 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m. with a giant pit in my stomach. I knew what the outcome was. And sure enough, I checked my phone and it just felt like time stopped. Just
yeah. And then
I felt numb.
Yeah.
From head to toe.
I felt like a zombie.
Yeah.
Kind of stuck in between fight and flight, freeze, fight or flight, right?
Right.
It's I'm frozen. I don't know what to do. I know I want to do something. Where do I go? How do I do it? What's plausible? What's the next step? Everything is just so out of control. And then we both said, wow, we're so glad. Like, could you imagine, to some effect, of like our parents being in our lives right now around this election? And I was just
No.
like, yeah, I couldn't imagine.
I
right
mean,
now.
I saw some tweet, and I did post it to my story, of like, someone said that they wanted to see like an exit poll of like what the correlation is of like how many of these people that voted for Trump are also like estranged from their kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sure there's plenty. I mean, just like I said before, like the LGBTQ community alone, like obviously we know there's plenty of people that have had those hard conversations with their parents and their reaction not being what they wanted, or them flat out saying like, I disown you. And like that community alone and their relationships with their parents, not all, but there's plenty. But aside from that, I'm like, there's gotta be like,
Yeah.
just like, yeah, it's not just politics. It's a difference of morals and what we stand for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad to, I mean, I'm going on almost 10 years of not talking to my parents, but I'm glad that I'm not, I didn't have to deal with them the first time around with Donald Trump. And I'm even more glad that I'm not dealing with them this time around, because I'm 100% certain, at least my dad would have stayed voting for a Republican, regardless of who it is.
Yeah.
So, because
Yep.
that's how that family works and operates. So,
Yeah. I definitely think about, obviously our friends are LGBTQ in that community in regards to like estrangement, and just even on varying levels of estrangement of like, we're just emotionally disconnected from your parent, or you only see them on holidays, or you're no contact like at all. And I think about that. It's like that's kind of just what immediately came to my mind. It's like thinking of people we know that can relate in those instances. It's just estrangement's very tricky. It's very nuanced, and obviously the emotions that we're feeling now in regards to just this one immediate event is complicated and tricky, because like I feel like I just wanted, like you said, wanted better from humanity, and then
I just kind of feel like I was tricked almost.
yeah, and in that sense, it's like I also would have wanted better from my parents as well, in terms of like political views, and even just like our own relationships with each other, with me and my parents. Just like it just brings that up again of like, I just wanted better and I expected more.
Right.
And this is just a reminder of like, that's not always the case. Like, we can just hope for more, but it's not our responsibility.
Yeah. We can't change or fix people, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know about fix, but I mean, I mean fix. But if that's, we can only do so much. And I feel like a lot of people are just really, I mean, again, like it goes with like being estranged and like parents not wanting to own up and take accountability and like apologize. People are just like stuck in their ways.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I feel like people are when it comes to the election. Like, no,
Yeah.
I've voted for this person before, or I've voted with this party before, and I'm going to stay here because I think it's right and you're wrong.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, just like you said, not taking accountability for the past, I don't even know if it's accountability, you're just not willing to see it, not willing to look
Right.
at the past. And the trauma and the pain and hurt that they may or may not have directly caused. And so definitely see that. And my estrangement with my parents and be no contact for sure. It's like, you don't want to see.
Right.
You don't want to see and face the mirror of the hurt and the pain. And you just want to like, it wasn't that bad, or there were some good parts. Like, as they're saying with Donald Trump right now, like there's some good parts, there's some redeeming qualities. They said this,
or that's not what he meant when he said that.
Not what he meant.
That's something parents say all the time. Like, that's not what I meant, or you're taking it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's what you said, and that's what you mean. Same thing goes with Trump and everything he says. And it's like, no, there's not like some secret code or whatever that you guys are just lying to yourselves. Like, he's telling you bold face, like, what he like values and what he feels about everybody, and how he really just only cares about himself.
Yeah. And that's like, and you saying that, I just remember my dad one time talking about our family dynamics with like his side of the family of like, we pick on each other and that's how we show love. It's like, it's like now my like eyes roll at that. If I could roll my eyes any harder. Like,
I mean, I've witnessed that even with like the way your parents would talk to you sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like uncomfortable. Like,
it's
okay,
like, no, we love you. Like, this is how we say we love you.
I feel like some
it's
jokes
like,
are a little too, they go too far.
Yeah.
There's no boundaries on some jokes. And it's like, sometimes it gets to the point where it's like, are you joking, or underneath it is like actually the truth of like how you feel?
Yeah. It's just like, there is that mirage, just like walking on like eggshells, and
yeah,
it's like, are they going to say something I don't want to hear right now? And so it's just, there's so many ways we can just relate politics, because it's politics at home for sure. It's like trying to keep the peace within the kingdom of your house, right? Like,
I feel like even with my extended family anyway, of just like, I feel like this election cycle, I feel like when it comes to just, I don't know, it's kind of even with my parents, like I try to be respectful.
yeah.
But then it gets to a certain point of like, all right, I'm doing all this work to be respectful and like, no, like trying to see your side, all this. But it's unfortunate. It's heartbreaking to find out like the respect doesn't go both ways. And it feels that way, like other people have said, and like what I said, like this whole thing about like Republicans being like, oh, well, it's not like, it's politics. Like it's not a reflection of what I think of you. And it's like, it kind of is, because you just voted for like all these things to happen that affect multiple aspects of who I am as a person. And it's like, you didn't care.
Yeah.
like, okay. It's unfortunate to find out that your family doesn't have like the same heart that you do. Like they don't have the same intentions.
Yeah.
Or don't put in the same effort. Like it sucks. It just straight up, it sucks.
Yeah, it's again like, I'm walking on eggshells, but you're over here the one throwing the eggs.
Right.
Like, it's like, I'm trying to keep peace,
right,
and you're just throwing them with no regard of like where I am standing in the room. I thought about, I saw the interview with that one actor, terrible with actor names.
Oh boy.
The guy who plays Randall Pearson in This Is Us. That guy. What's his name?
Oh my God. I'm usually really good at names, so now I'm forgetting what his name is too.
It's this camera. The camera. You're the reason why. Anyways.
But I know who you're talking about.
He's African American.
Right.
And that is context to the story. But he was sharing his experience on set one time. He was wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt, but he would always see people wearing like MAGA and like Trump stuff. And he then shared his sentiment of like, you're wearing an All Lives Matter shirt. I'm wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt. What I'm saying in terms of Black Lives Matter isn't to be better than white lives or all lives, right? He's saying of like, no, I just want equality.
Right.
And then he like shared the sentiment of someone on the crew came up and like thanked him for that because he always thought, oh, Black Lives Matters means they're like all the other lives don't matter.
Right. They think everyone else is inferior.
Yeah. And so I just think about even just our day-to-day politics, like within our families and the rights for our LGBTQ friends and trans people and all sorts of varying minorities that are oppressed under MAGA and Trump. It's like, no, we're not saying we're better than, we just want to be equal. And so that's how I kind of see with like my family in terms of like wanting to just be seen and heard, not because I want to be the new authority. I just want to be
Valued.
Right. And so, yeah, I thought that was a really good snippet of a conversation I clued into online. But, yeah, it sucks just to be like, no, you're doing therapy. You think you're better than us type of like sentiment. It's like, It's like, no, I'm doing this because I want to be healthy and equal. I want to be valued as you just said.
Right. Along the lines of like, it's, politics, like it's not personal, of just like also people saying like, don't let politics affect your relationships. And it's like, once again, it's not just politics. It's part of who I am as a person. It's like, how can you not let it affect your relationships? It's, once again, it's like I still have hope for people. There are good people still exist, but it's like I expect better from certain people, and then they don't deliver that. And then especially with something like this as the election, it's like I have a really hard time viewing you in the same way that I did. Like you have had all this information for basically the past 8 years.
Yeah.
And we're still choosing this same thing that, and I mean, they can say whatever they want about like, oh, he'll be better for us. But it's like, it hasn't been better. We're very divisive as a country now. And I feel like he's not someone who stands for love. He's driven by hate. I feel like every time he's talked, he complains about everything that's wrong with the country and its people. And it's like, I just have a hard time viewing you as person that like has the same morals as me. Like we are completely different people. And for me especially, I feel like when it comes to my family, I'm pretty much the only person standing on this side of the fence. Mm-hmm. Everyone else, it's how they grew up, like very Christian, conservative household. And it's gone that way, I feel like, with every generation since. And it's as if I didn't already feel enough like the black sheep of the family for like not talking to my parents. So it's like, not only that, but now politically, it's like we are totally different people. And it's tough. It makes it hard to feel like you belong there. But yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it would have been easier to have different ideologies pre-Trump.
Oh, for sure. It's brought on a whole other, like, layer.
Yeah.
Like, Paul, yeah, like, he's just brought out a lot of fear in people on both sides, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're all terrified. All of us that didn't vote for him are now terrified of what this means.
Yeah, we're terrified, anxious.
But those that support him are just afraid of things that aren't the same as them.
Yeah.
Which is disappointing. And that's an understatement. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, there's a lot to not get, and we're not trying to be a politics podcast for any stretch. But yeah, I think about my dad, obviously being a Navy vet, like, and just always being Republican because, Christian values, I guess, and. Yeah.
Supposedly
Christian values, and just always voting that way. And yeah, it's again, like you said, having the information, but not wanting to do anything about it. It's just like, that's my story for sure.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened, how it happened, the reason why it happened. And again, not wanting to face, look in the mirror, take accountability, passing it along. Just, again, looking for those redeeming qualities in the bad and using that, like, 2% to justify the 98% that's, like, ugly. Like, it's just sad and disheartening.
For Christian values.
For Christian values.
Supposedly.
Yeah, and I just remember, like, right when Trump was, like, impeached the first time, and then he was impeached again, my dad was like, just because he was impeached doesn't mean, like, he didn't do it, like, that he did it, like, or whatever that thing was. Just like, oh, God.
It's like you'd think January 6th would have been something, like, I feel like people woke up for 5 seconds, and then just... like they have amnesia or something and just like completely just forgot about it. It's like, okay.
Yeah. It's like, the economy. It's like,
which, like, to be fair, I don't think anyone on any side is happy about how the economy is.
Yeah. It's tough. Like, yeah.
But
if it's tough for you, it's tough for me. Like,
but I'd rather have to deal with paying more money if it means that people's rights aren't being, like, stripped away from them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Should be fun.
But yeah, I guess. Yeah. And having an election right before Thanksgiving is...
I was thinking,
I don't know why they do this.
I don't think we should do elections after Christmas. It's
like start the year.
Well, because I'm like, oh, we all get, like, happy feely, like Christmas feelings. And it's like, oh, unity, peace on earth.
Well,
and then maybe if we did the elections, it would be different because you'd have that mindset. Rather than going into the holidays and, like, all the dread and how am I going to pay for this and
or just dealing with your families, because I know that's been a conversation going around of just like, okay, this election's happened. What are you going to do now? Like, come Thanksgiving and Christmas, like, what's your game plan if, like, your families are really, like, divided on this? And I mean, there's been varying things, and I guess at the end of the day, you know what your boundaries and your limits are and do what's best for you.
Yeah.
I personally have a hard time sitting at the same table with people that I know that just didn't care about anybody but themselves.
Even outside of election season.
Right. But I mean, I feel like
Just
this,
yeah.
this obviously just like intensifies that. It multiplies like,
It again goes back to like walking on eggshells again.
Right.
Like it's just not comfortable.
and it's like, we're just not going to talk about this giant elephant in the room.
Yeah.
It's like, I personally don't have time for that anymore. Like, I feel like I've been respectful, and it's, you know, there's still love for those people because they are your family. But I, again, have a hard time just, I don't know if I can look you in the face and like engage in conversation with you as if our world feels like it's like imploding.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time being polite this time around. So I'd rather just mind my own business.
Yeah. Where you are and we are definitely finally putting that boundary up. So yeah. And finally knowing when to set it.
Right.
But it's like not everyone knows how to do that.
It sucks. It's not easy again.
Yeah, no one wants to do that. No one wants to be estranged or disconnected. Because again, like we hoped for more, we hope for better for our families, like we hope better for our country. Like, you know, we gotta put that wall up and we gotta roll up our sleeves and we gotta get dirty. Yeah, we don't want
Definitely
this.
wanted better for our kids, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. And it's, yeah. It's a very bleak world that they're growing up in right now. And it's, yeah, it's scary. Not happy. Yeah. And I don't know how long it's going to be till it doesn't feel like, I mean, yeah, it's just going to be like surviving the next however many years. Hopefully.
At least 4 years.
Let's hope. But yeah. It's just, yeah. Still feel numb. I was hoping to feel better today, but no.
But I mean,
I feel like
that.
things are ramping up from certain people on part of MAGA or whatever, and it's like, cool. Just keep on swinging. It's hard to keep dusting this off and getting back up. Like, just want some time to breathe. But I don't, yeah. It's definitely a shift.
Something in the air, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so much. Even now, just having the conversation now, like speaking out loud, it's just like, oh, wow, there's a lot. There's
It just feels so
much.
heavy.
It's heavy, and there's just so much correlation between that politics brings out about just family dynamics.
Yeah. Yeah, I read something today on Threads, I think. Somebody just posted like how they got into it like with their parents about like they voted for Trump and they were like confronting her and kind of like mocking her for like voting for Kamala and like how dumb she is for that. And she was like getting into it like, I don't understand like why you would do this. Like, and her dad flat out told her like, well, how is that my problem? And she was like, 'cause I'm your daughter. And then she just like walked out and left.
Yeah.
It's like how, again, heartbreaking, like to have parents that don't actually like want to try and work things out with you and just, again, stuck in their ways. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you don't see how you're actively hurting me. Like,
yep,
blinded.
I know it. Man, I know it.
Yeah.
I know a little too much. It's a little too close. A little too close. So, like, oh, you're siding with the, lack of a better word, enemy. Like, blatantly obvious that you are.
With those that don't want to change their ways.
Yeah, again, not wanting to change. Like, you both don't want to change your ways. You both are comfortable here.
With,
wherever that is, it's
a
on
giant
fire.
elephant, just like this thing boiling underneath the surface.
Yeah.
About nobody wants to talk about. But yeah, it's just.
So what do you do?
Very dark times.
What do you do? What do we do?
What do we do? What?
With uncertainty and...
I mean, you just gotta face it head on, I guess.
And people that don't want to change. That don't want to see.
I mean, you gotta just set those boundaries and try to move on with your life, I guess.
It's a lot easier said than done.
Well, yeah, obviously, but yeah, boundaries are important. I think there's a kind way about going with boundaries and not like trying to yell in their face or call them names or whatever, but
yeah, I think they're like a example of like soft boundaries, really. It's not like a brick wall, but it's like more like a chain link fence.
Right.
It's more like, I'm gonna let you not see my rage posting Instagram stories, so I'll block you there, but still have you connected as like a form of like a boundary. I feel like,
right.
Like,
I mean, I've done my fair share of removing people over the last couple days because to me they're not worth the time and effort to argue with or to see the things that they post. Like, for my sanity, I'd rather not continue to get angry like every single time I open my phone.
Yeah, because that's definitely like your space. Obviously, being millennials and my space, like it is your space. Like your Instagram is it's our space to vent and express ourselves.
Right.
And I don't need to cater to everybody's feelings on there. Like it's an optional space for people to be connected to you with, and so it's not. It's
definitely made me become more like guarded on who I like allow to see certain things and not like who do I deem safe to be able to see this stuff, and I know aren't going to judge me or talk about me when I'm not there.
Yeah, and that's the word, is safe.
Yeah.
Sure. It's like, is this space I'm creating a safe one for myself and my thoughts, and not necessarily to be in an echo chamber of only people that agree with you, but yeah, it comes down to that safety aspect. It's, especially politics is tricky because, like, no, I feel like you voted against my rights as a human and as a person, and with that I feel like I am kind of in danger because you're in that fight or freeze like mode, and so it is like, yeah, I'm gonna put this up and you can't see it and you can't respond to it because you
don't know it's there.
yeah, you don't know it's there, and I don't want you to know it's there.
Right.
I'm doing this to put it out for me to feel like I released something.
I've removed people completely, but there are also people that I know that I don't want to totally like. I'm never speaking to you again in my existence. So those people I do have hidden from my stories.
Yeah, it's that soft, that soft boundary.
We're still connected. I still and I have them muted too, so that their stuff just doesn't pop up on my stuff. I won't see you.
You won't see me.
But I did
still be connected.
Right.
We need to take some time apart.
Yeah.
We need to
definitely need to. Definitely need some space to not.
Definitely sort through your thoughts and.
It's It's not
plan.
only like I'm putting you in timeout, but it's also kind of like I'm putting myself in timeout because I don't know what my reaction is going to be to seeing you, and I don't know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Or if some like snide remark is made, and then it's like, flip the table over. Like that's it.
Yeah, and I love making snide remarks, so I think it's also good. Because, I don't know what I'm going to want to say and mutter under my breath if someone to say
exactly.
something. So, it's like you said, it's to keep you safe and to keep myself safe. 'Cause I don't know when I'm going to boil over. And
right now, granted, it's only 2 days fresh off of the election.
Yep.
I'm pretty much just, simmering at the surface. Like, if anyone says one word wrong, I'm like...
Yeah.
So I need to.
Yeah. I definitely
need to cool down.
I did that towards the end before I cut my parents off. It was just that. It's like, I'm going to hide some things from you. I'm going to hide what I'm doing in my day-to-day life as an adult. I'm not going to let you know where I went, who I was with, and I'm going to let you in on my whatever. It's like I will still be connected, but I'm going to distance and give you space and give me space so that I'm going through it.
Right.
Then obviously it was provoked and...
They poked the bear.
They turned the heat up. I boiled over and I was like, nope. Like that chain link fence turned into a brick wall and... called what I don't know, the parallel line between North and South Korea is basically then what it turned into. It's like, you're not crossing this. I'm
right.
Not crossing it.
You're going to stay over there, and I'm going to stay here.
There's no safe border crossing. I was initially just to protect myself and protect them because I did it out of respect. I respected the relationship too much to throw it out the window. Just was soon to be something small, but ultimately ended up being something bigger. And so I think ultimately that's what you're saying is respect the relationship too much to just cut it off completely.
Yeah. But yeah. Eventually you learn though that well, not always, but sometimes it's okay, the respect is not going both ways. And it's all right, we need to take a beat.
Yeah. And that's just ends up sometimes being the best thing you ever did.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that with my family. It's the best thing I ever did. Hardest thing I ever did. But one of the best things I've ever done for myself is taking a stand and standing up for what I believe in. And
I know my life would be very different today if I continued a relationship with my parents. And I don't think it necessarily would have been a life I wanted. So for that, I'm at a place where I've accepted that it is what it is. And yeah, ultimately it ended up being a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, parents just don't understand.
Some do. I guess. Some do.
And we see you.
I hope to be an understanding parent, but
definitely hope for that. For sure.
Definitely not perfect, but I hope to always at least be a safe
We're smoothing
place.
out the edges as we go.
Right.
For sure. Yeah, there's just so much correlation between our family dynamics with everyday life because they are sometimes just one and the same, and it's hard to split them up. But I think that's why we have these conversations, is not only for us as a married couple. This isn't a marriage podcast. This isn't a politics podcast either. It just so happens to be a current event that is affecting our lives right now.
A lot.
They're going to affect our lives for the next forever million years. And the holidays are here. And so we got a lot of mixed emotions, anxiety, fear.
How to navigate life from here.
Yeah. Revisiting trauma. And yeah. And so while this podcast was a little political, why we don't hope to always be a political podcast.
Again,
but we will bring it up.
We have
as
tried
necessary.
practicing. We have technically made an episode before this, but probably won't see the light of day.
Yeah, but we just felt like,
why not take the opportunity for
yeah, I think
this time in history?
Yeah, we probably share the same sentiment with a lot of people. Is like, what now? What do I do now? And so, we're like, we feel like we bring a unique perspective to this conversation, and we just wanted to kind of share that and get the ball rolling. I know I teased a lot about like my story. You've shared some of your story, and again, teasing because we haven't shared the full details here, but we will continue to
share bits and pieces
share
of our
bits and
stories.
pieces along the way,
Yeah.
and maybe do some deep dives into
certain aspects.
as they become relevant. But we're just everyday estranged millennials. That's the name of the pod. Like, which is your done.
I'm sure I'm not sure. I know there's plenty of other, again, the estranged parents like to call it a trend
Yeah.
that, we're all becoming estranged. Like, when is this like fad gonna stop? Like,
It's going to stop when you get their ish together. When it's
right?
stop.
Like, when are they gonna like get over themselves? And it's
when
like,
you do it.
right? Exactly. When, yeah, it's like, no, it's not a trend. It's just, again,
Epidemic.
it is.
For sure.
It feels like, I feel like when I first became estranged with my parents, it wasn't like as common, or at least they didn't call it like no contact. Like,
Yeah. There was no term. No
and
common
there's always
term.
varying levels of estrangement.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's definitely like people are becoming more self-aware and more aware of where they come from and the traumas they get from like childhood and stuff that like ultimately result in how they function in society today and how it like shapes who they are and how they view themselves. And I think it's good and important that people are paying attention to like who they are and what makes them them and where they come from and looking for those answers.
Yeah. We may or we may not have them, but we're just going through life and we're going to talk about it and share about it, and hope you listening or watching can find community and solace in this. And
Relate a little bit.
Relate and be like, I get it.
Sorry you're part of this like
Or we're sorry
orphan
you're here.
club.
We're sorry
but,
you're here, but we're glad you're here.
right. Yeah.
Because again, this is also something that we feel like we would have wanted and still kind of want, and so we're just creating something we
Right.
want and that we want to benefit from, and so it's always nice listening to other people that you can relate to,
Yeah.
even if you don't know them. It's just like, I'm not alone. Not alone.
Right. Yeah.
So.
For sure. Yeah.
With that, I think that's it. That's it. It's the end of the episode.
Yep.
It's a wrap. We're